have to say, it's one of my favorite passages from the gospel about Peter. Peter, I just love Peter. I found out that's actually our altar service confirmation name as well. But, the fact that Peter was so foolhardy. He loved the Lord. He loved the Lord with everything he had, except he didn't know how. He didn't know how, and that's what he learned, by his own denial on the night before Jesus would suffer his death on the cross. And he denied him 3 times. He went out, and it says he wept bitterly because just only a few hours before he said, Lord, I'll follow you anywhere. I'll even die for you. And eventually that would happen. We all know that. But it took faith, first of all, recognizing that he couldn't do it on his own, but it was only his trusting faith in Jesus himself. And we get, a little bit of that today in the gospel passage. There is Jesus walking on the water in the 4th hour of the night, 3 o'clock hour before sunrise, the last watch of the night. And there he's walking on water. He says to them, they thought he was a ghost. They're terrified. He said, get hold of yourselves, huh? Don't be afraid. Basically, trust in me. And the only one that speaks up is Peter. If it's really you, you think about that whole saying. They think maybe it's a ghost, but there Peter says, if it's really you, command me to come out of the boat and come to you. Well, if it isn't him, he's in big trouble. But Jesus says, come. And he trusts. He knows Jesus' words. He recognizes his voice. And so he comes. And he gets out of the boat, and as long as he keeps his eyes focused on Jesus, he's okay. He's walking toward Jesus, but then the wind becomes very strong, and he recognizes the waves and the danger that he is in, and he begins to doubt, the way you and I do sometimes, huh? And so he begins to sink. Save me, Lord, save me, he says. Huh? Jesus puts out his hand, and he pulls him up. Don't be afraid. They get into the boat. I think that's our relationship with the Lord throughout our lives, isn't it? I know for me, sometimes, when I'm really in dire straits, you want to trust, you believe, you do. It's not that you don't believe in God, but I think it is we don't believe so much in ourselves. But Jesus says, come with your sinfulness, come with your weakness. Come to me, and don't be afraid, but trust. And that's what we're all called to do. The first reading, we hear about Hananiah and Jeremiah, and the fact that Hananiah has been called to be the prophet, but you know what? He's a false prophet toward the end of his life, And so he will die before the Jews can come from the Babylonian exile back to their own homeland, that which Jeremiah will instruct them, teach them. In this Corona time, as Father Jay likes to talk about it, in this time of, it's expanding. We see it on the news. I turned the news on this morning, and right away, it's getting bigger and bigger. It's spreading, and nobody really fully understands that. Don't be afraid. That's all I can hear. This morning, because I looked at the readings last night, and all I could think about was Jesus saying, don't be afraid. It'll be okay. Trust in me. Trust in me with your whole heart, mind, body, and soul. And so we do. And we commend him, to him, the sick and the suffering. Commend to him those who are researching. We commend to him those who are on the front line, the doctors and the nurses, the paramedics, the firefighters, the police. We commend to him our young, that they grow in wisdom, age, and grace. We commend to him you and me, our entire lives, and ask him only, come save us, Lord. Be our strength, be our Savior. Help us, Lord, to witness to your goodness and love in a still waiting world.